The Tigers get swept by the Royals in another pretty uncompetitive and not very close baseball game. Let's talk about it all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Thursday, May 23rd, 2024. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Detroit Tigers lose another ball game to the Kansas City Royals by a score of 8-3. That is a theme here. They lost game 1 8-3, game 2 10-3, and game 3 8-3. A lot of threes. The threes are wild. Tigers get swept in Kansas City. The Royals are now 32-18 on the season, while the Detroit Tigers fall to 23-26. You guys, the Tigers have a series this weekend against the Toronto Blue Jays, a 4-game set. So they play today as you are listening to this. First time they've played on a Thursday in what feels like forever. Yeah, since like mid-April. Things are not looking great. We can call it what it is. I think a lot of optimism is very quickly fading with this team. They are now 6-13 in the month of May. 6-13. They're under 500 since their 5-0 start, which was pointed out by a few of our beat writers after the game. I know Evan Petzold posted about it, but in the month of May alone, 6-13. This game did not go very well. And if you watched, you're aware of that. If you didn't watch, you still are probably pretty aware of that at this point. 8-3 yet again. So your offense, since the 8-3 win last Saturday in Arizona, has scored 4 runs and then 3-3-3. I understand that going into the season, this team was built under the premise of inconsistent offense and good pitching, right? That was what we were told by the front office going into the year. That is the identity, I guess you would say, that we were preached and that we were told was going to be the identity of the 2024 Detroit Tigers. It is remarkable how good the pitching has to actually be for that plan to be executed, at least if you even remotely intended on this team being decent this year. Right? Now, I would hope that the front office was not planning on the offense being this bad. I would hope. I would really hope. I would really, really hope that the offense, or that the front office rather, did not go into this season knowing that the offense was going to be this poor and still do nothing about it. I would really hope that. So let's eliminate that just for the sake of this conversation, because I would really, really hope that that's not the case, if you haven't caught my drift at this point. Even if you planned on the offense being a little bit better, the pitching that it would take for this team to keep its head even above water, just be a few games over 500 like they were in April, is remarkable pitching. 3 weeks into the season, halfway through April, there was a stat that was making the rounds where the Tigers bullpen had like a 1.5 ERA or something absurd. Tigers were over 500. They weren't like the best team in baseball, right? Jack Flaherty has one of the highest K rates in the entire sport. He's been unbelievable. Tarik Skubal did not have a great outing today, even with this subpar outing, is still one of the 2 or 3 favorites to take home the American League Cy Young. Your bullpen has been a disaster the last week and a half to 2 weeks, but for the first 5 was remarkable. Casey Mize had a 3.5 ERA before his last start. Reese Olson's 0-6 with a 2.2 ERA. What kind of pitching did we think we were getting? Again, unless the plan just really wasn't to be uber competitive this season, which is a whole different conversation. It's just wild going back to hearing the preseason plan. And this is not just because of this game. They are 6-13 in May. This is not just this game. This is not just this series. 6-13 in the month of May. So it's just wild going back. I mean, like, well, we wanted to bolster the pitching and have a really, really good and deep pitching staff because we knew the offense would be inconsistent. They've actually been pretty consistent. I guess there is an outlier. You know, the first 2 games in Arizona are kind of an outlier. But 0 runs, 4, 3, 3, 3. It's honestly pretty consistent. Consistently bad. So it's just wild to me to think back to that. That's all. I just wanted to bring that up. Recalling how the roster was built, we'll say. That's the terminology we use. And the logic behind it. And then thinking, well, you must have thought that this was going to be the 95 Braves rotation and the 2016-15 Royals bullpen then. Because this offense is horrendous. And you're now at a point where, and this is the full circle moment to end this point, because I know some people are thinking, what the heck? Like, the pitching was really bad this series. You're right. You're right. You are correct. And that is why I bring this up. We'll end the segment with this. You give yourself 0 room for error. None. Right? If Tarik Skubal doesn't have a sub-2 ERA, I mean, heck, Reese Olson has a 2.25 or whatever it is and is 0-6. You give yourself 0 room for error. If your bullpen is not incredible like it was the first 5 weeks and your rotation is not incredible like it was until, 4 games ago, you are in deep you-know-what. Like waist high. Let's talk a little bit more about this ball game specifically, shall we? We'll do that right after this. Got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Game Time. Look, Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer you get to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. They have last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, right? So you can save even more when you choose the section and just let Game Time choose the seat for you. Again, you can buy tickets up to an hour after an event starts for cheaper. I love waiting to the last minute to do anything. So Game Time is certainly my friend as well. You can save up to 60% buying last minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. Your purchase is also covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off of your first purchase. Again, create an account and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Also going to tell you all about our friends over at FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2 of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, as always, making us your first listen every single day, even when the Tigers lay an absolute egg. Appreciate it if you are an everydayer. Also, be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all of the screaming that maybe ESPN or Fox Sports does. So you can stream it today. Again, subscribe on Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or for free in the Amazon Fire TV channels app. Detroit Tigers lose 8-3 yet again in Kansas City. Like I said at the beginning, they fall to 23-26 on the season. The offense absolutely dominated in this ball game. You got a couple of runs from Andy Ibanez late. But it was, honestly, you turn around and give up a 4 spot in that same inning. I feel like that happens all the time. Is that a stat that's look upable? The amount of times that the Tigers give up runs when they score runs? Because it's very rare that they score. And it's just such a slap in the face when they just turn around and give it right back. They score 2 in the top of the 7th and then give up 4 in the bottom of the 7th to get the 1 run in the 8th as well, I guess. So, what went wrong? The offense. The offense went wrong. Tarik Skubal went wrong. And the bullpen went nothing. Every single facet of the game went poorly. All of them. Starting pitching, bullpen, offense. Defense, was the defense horrible in this one? I think it was actually better than it's been the last 3 games. I mean, here's the thing, okay? You are at a point now. We're heading into Memorial Day. That's a very common point that people look at in the season and go, how good are we on Memorial weekend, right? And your overall record is still, you're 3 games under 500, right? But you've been terrible in May. And the offense specifically has done nothing but be poor most of the season. And it's actually only gotten worse lately. We have not seen a consistent good stretch from the offense. Seen a game here where they randomly explode, a game there where they randomly explode. If it wasn't for the random 10-run outings they have once every 10 days, it would be even worse than it already is. So if this is a check-in, a checkpoint, right, in the season, that's the phrase I was thinking of earlier, right? If Memorial Day is a checkpoint, if Memorial Weekend is, if you look through this lineup, how many players in the lineup right now are you confident are going to be a part of this team long term? Please let me know. I am very curious in what the general public and what the fan base's opinion is on that. Andy Ibanez, Love the dude to death. Not a long-term piece to this team. Zach McKinstry, no. Probably not going to be on this team in a few weeks. Matt Vierling, as a utility player, maybe. But as an everyday starter somewhere, no. Kerry Carpenter, if he can hit lefties, then I guess yes. He can still be a long-term piece as a platoon outfielder, though. He's one of your best hitters. Sure. Yes. Okay. Mark Canha, no. Riley Green, yes, has been dreadful in the month of May, but yes, you're certainly hoping so, right? Gio Urshela, no. Javi Baez, please no. Either catcher. Not sure there's a ton of confidence in the catching duo at the present moment. At least one of them, no, if not both. Colt Keith, been hitting better lately. I would say yes, but I know he obviously got off to a really slow start. I know plenty of people probably have differing opinions on that. Spencer Torkelson. That's a fun one, ain't it? I'm not trying to say that this dude's season is over or that, again, the Tigers' season is over on May 23rd. I am just trying to articulate how quickly the wind has just been completely sucked out of the sails. That's combining two analogies. You get my point. Matt Vierling hit 2. Your top 3 in this game were Andy Ibanez, Matt Vierling, Mark Canha. If you would have told me that was the top 3 for a May game in, I don't know, February, I would have told you, oh my goodness, what has gone wrong? Tarik Skubal not great in this outing either, obviously. First really rough outing of the season. 5 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, the home run against, obviously. He was just spraying the ball everywhere. There's really not too much analysis to add here. It's pretty simple. He didn't have very good command. And when you don't have great command, he was fighting it clearly today. And they made such a huge deal out of the blister, the broadcast. Oh my goodness. Every other pitch he threw, we were talking about, well, maybe it's because of the blister that he had going into the game. Sure, maybe. I don't care. I really don't. He was not great. His command was not great. I thought the slider was actually good in this ball game, but the fastball command was just not there. He was actually fighting his fastball a lot early. It kind of came around as the outing went along. But early in the game, it was to the point where he wasn't even really throwing his fastball. He was throwing the sinker. And then in about, I don't know, the 3rd inning, 4th inning maybe, he went back and threw a ton of fastballs. And still, some of them were hit very hard, even out of the park. But just really inconsistent with spraying the ball over the place. This is this dude's first loss of the season, and since I don't know, early September or something wild of last. It's been a long time. Tarik Skubal is not the problem that this team faces. If you're making a list of who is at fault for this season and who are you worried about, Tarik Skubal is toward the bottom, if not the very bottom of that list. So bounce back, but this was clearly not his best outing. That goes to the point that I had in segment 1, right? You have given yourself 0 room for error. 0. He gave up 4 runs, dog. He didn't give up 12. But that's how this fan base, rightfully so, views 4 runs in 5 innings. You know how preposterous that is? Tarik Skubal gave up 4 runs, and we were all like, "Oh my goodness, we're host. We're absolutely screwed." He gave up 4 runs. He has a 2.25 ERA. He gave up 4. 6 innings of 3-run ball is a quality start in the eyes of statisticians in Major League Baseball. He gave up 4. And we're like, "Oh my goodness, this is over." Train wreck. Absolute train wreck. And again, when looking ahead, you look at the offense. That's great they can develop pitching now. That's awesome. So pumped about that. That's something that they didn't have 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Better was here 2 years ago. You get my point. It does not matter if you're not going to bring in talent that can hit, if you can't develop talent at the major league level that can hit, et cetera, et cetera. And just thinking back to the preseason, before the season started, before spring training even, about not having room for bats is just remarkable in hindsight. 6-13. Let's keep the ball rolling. We'll talk about a few more things with this ball game. Obviously, I'm talking a lot of big picture stuff because this is going so poorly. We will continue all of that right after this. Got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Prize Picks. Spring training is over and baseball season is obviously well in the thick of things now, so don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond into your Prize Picks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, you can take your pick of more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Get in on all the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks as you and the world's best players take the game to a whole new level during basketball's postseason. An absolutely electric NBA postseason so far, and a phenomenal baseball season outside of the city of Detroit, maybe as well. There's plenty of fun things to get on the action. Like I just said, you pick a stat, you can pick more or less. I like looking at starting pitching strikeouts. If you took more on Cole Reagan's strikeouts in this ball game, you would have done pretty well for yourself. You had a career high 12 strikeouts against the Detroit Tigers offense. So you can get in on action like that and so much more over at Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment, Locked On Tigers. I appreciate you all so much for tuning in. I know I say it a lot when the team loses, but that is when I am the most appreciative of eyes and ears. I very much understand that there is a million other things you could be doing. You already watched the ball game, most likely. You're not too happy about how that went, and now you are continuing to consume Tigers related content and choosing me. It really does mean the world to me because I some days I don't want to talk about it, dog. So I'd imagine that listening to it is probably all the same. So I appreciate you all for being here greatly. I really, really do. Cole Reagan's is absolutely unbelievable. That is looking like such a steal of a trade for the Kansas City Royals. His fastball is something special. It is filthy. His fastball and changeup. It's a combination that works really well for him. Sounds a lot like Tarik Skubal. Don't hit a lefty with a really good fastball and a really good changeup. It's a good starting point for any pitcher. And he's going to be a thorn in this team's side for the foreseeable future. I would imagine that fastball is dang near unhittable, dog. That is a really, really good pitch. He is a very good pitcher. And I would imagine that we're going to have a lot of frustrating outings against him going forward. Hopefully not, no hit through 5 or almost 6 like he did in this outing. But he was executing really well. And this offense isn't very good. So those two things together lead to a lot of outings like this. What I don't want, and for some people they're already there, in 2022, it was a joke where when the Tigers would get their first hit, we would all celebrate. Oh, yay, they got a hit. They're not going to get no hit today because that was the worst offense any of us had ever seen. Please no. Please not again. Please. Please don't do that again. That's just what this game reminded me of. It's one game. We scored 13 runs, 4 days ago. Over 100 games left. Maybe I'm just trying to cope with all of these caveats at the end. But a really dreadful performance by the offense. And Spencer Torkelson, I know we talked about him a little bit earlier. Pay attention to his at-bats and pay attention to where the ball goes. I swear to you, if it's not a strikeout, which he has plenty of, if he puts the ball in play, it is almost always, and I tweeted this out, and it was right 3 of 4 times in this ball game. Well, he had a strikeout in the other one. Every time he puts the ball in play, it is a pop out to the right side of the field, first base, second base, shallow right field, or it is a ground out to third base. Even his doubles, right? He's still somehow like third in the American League in doubles, which is just hilarious. Baseball is such an unserious sport. Even those, most of those doubles are like ground balls down the third baseline that the third baseman can't get to, and he ends up on second. Like a decent amount of his doubles are just that. Because he can't time up a fastball. That is why. He's late on every fastball. Someone on Twitter replied to my tweet and said that. I forget who. I'm sorry. Wish I could give you credit. But you are right, whoever you are. It's all because he can't time anything up. He's late on all the fastballs, all of them. And he's early on all the change-ups and sliders he gets low and away. So he just yanks everything that's off speed and breaking, and he pushes everything that's hard. Riley Green can't lift a baseball. That's been a reoccurring theme his entire career. And when he does lift the baseball, he's phenomenal. And he's legitimately one of the best players in the American League. And then he gets into ruts. He's always going to strike out a decent amount. So that's not going anywhere no matter what. But he gets into ruts where every time he hits the ball, it's a grounder to the right side. We don't have to go one by one, man. But like, when you're mapping out, this is homework for everybody. Okay. Do it on a piece of paper. Maybe we'll go over it next off day. I don't know. That's next Monday, I think. And write down like the current depth chart, right? On the field. Just draw a baseball diamond, piece of paper, and put the current depth chart on there. And then go through and circle the people you think are going to be there long term on this major league roster offensively. It's remarkable. You have a black hole at shortstop. It's been your biggest team need for a while. It still is. Third base. Hopefully we see Jace Young this year. Gio Urshela, he had some bloopers early in the season. He puts the bat on the ball a decent amount. Sure. There is no power in that swing. It's just all weak contact. He's a free swinger. He rarely ever walks. He's got a 609 OPS and a 266 average. Sure. Okay. Well, this has been fun. Let's talk about this weekend. The Tigers play the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, if you want any, and I mean any, opportunity to reprove to this fan base or in any capacity, try to give some optimism to these great fans in this great city. You want to try to get this thing back on track even remotely. You have to win some freaking ball games this weekend. The Toronto Blue Jays are 21 and 26. Their best players are pretty much all struggling. Vlad's got an OPS in like the mid or low 700s. He can't lift the baseball consistently. Bo Bichette's got an OPS of like 630 or 650 or something. Kevin Gausman's ERA is over 5. It's been better in May. This is a team that you should have an opportunity to take advantage of. But I'm talking about the team that got shut out for 19 straight innings against the worst team in baseball and the worst pitching staff in baseball. So again, if you want any chance of turning this thing around and getting people reinterested again, even remotely, I know some people are just long gone already. It's Memorial Weekend. Some people are just tuned out, and I don't blame you. But if you want even a remote amount of people to gain some optimism back and be, rejuvenated and have some hope for this season, you need to at least win the series. I'm not asking for a 4-game sweep. This team lost 2 of 3 to the Marlins. But more than anything, you just need to freaking hit. And I know the bullpen hasn't been good. We talked about that at length yesterday, right? I know. The pitching staff gave up a lot of runs in this 3-game series to the Royals. None of it matters if the offense has been consistently bad, and none of it matters if that ship doesn't get righted. And who knows if it will. I know most of you are probably like, it just won't. Yeah. Fair enough. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in. Every day, we will be back tomorrow recapping Game 1 against the Toronto Blue Jays. It's going to be a 6:40 start time. You are at home. It's in Comerica. Jack Flaherty is going to get the ball for the Tigers. And it is, I don't think any of the pitching matchups for Toronto have actually been announced. Yeah, they got some injury stuff they're trying to work out too, and they're at a weird spot in their rotation. So they are TBD at the time of this recording. All right. I appreciate you all greatly. We will be back tomorrow. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch y'all then. Go Tigers.